guys, please play a winter sport, stay in shape, this and that. We have all these sports. He starts listing them, and the very last sport he said was wrestling. I was like, we have a wrestling team?
That's funny.
Like, what?
Yeah.
We have a wrestling team?
Which college is this?
No, this was still high school. Yeah,
okay.
so I was at Hillsdale High School my first 2 years of high school.
Okay.
At San Mateo. Yeah. And shout out Coach Peretti for football. And Oscar, I love you too. Wrestling, and Coach Diana, love y'all. Yeah, so he's like, oh, okay, boom, wrestling. And I was like, oh, Lucas did wrestling 1 year in high school. Maybe I'll try it out. I'll just go in for shits and gigs, whatever. Boom, I go in and I'm starting to find like a flow of it, but at the same time, I'm just having fun with it. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like I was just having fun with it. I started winning tournaments and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'm good at this. And then boom, I get hurt my freshman year. And I'm out the rest of the season and I'm like, fuck, dude, like that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Am I gonna
How did you get hurt?
I hurt my shoulder.
Okay.
But it wasn't anything that a doctor diagnosed me with at the time. It just like I couldn't move my arm.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not gonna go to the doctor. Like I'll be fine. Whatever. Yeah. Time goes by. Next year rolls around. Sophomore year now, and I go, boom. I play football again, and then I didn't think I was gonna wrestle my sophomore year. I thought I was gonna go play basketball because I grew up playing basketball as well, along with jiu-jitsu.
So did I.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, basketball, and Kiki plays it now, and Kiki's doing
pick
great.
Up a ball and shoot it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need people, you do.
No, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I'm gonna play basketball. I'm like, I'm so excited. Grew up playing basketball, A-team all 3 years in middle school. I'm thinking I'm the shit, whatever. And tryouts are coming along, and then there's wrestling. And my coach overheard me saying that I wanted to play basketball, and she got so mad at me. She literally didn't want to talk to me, and I was like, oh fuck.
Why?
Because she wanted me to wrestle.
I see. She wanted me to focus.
She wanted me to focus on wrestling because she knew I could take it a long way, especially because of my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So then after sitting down and talking with her, I was like, okay, I'll wrestle. But with me wrestling this year, it wasn't for shits and gigs. It was, I'm diving into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw my life, I'm going to throw my social life away, and I'm just going to wrestle. And I had the craziest experience my sophomore year. I went from a nobody to being one of the top kids in the whole Bay Area.
Yeah.
Knocking off all these top guys. And keep in mind, my sophomore year of high school, my head was pink.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, but who is this kid?
What do you mean pink? You dyed your hair?
I dyed my hair pink.
Okay. And why did you wanted to be Sean O'Malley, or was he around back then?
He wasn't around back then. This is my own thing.
You started it.
I started this. Sugar Sean, you followed me. No, I'm kidding. So my nickname in the practice room was Pinky because I'd always wear pink. Pink's my favorite color.
Awesome.
I'd always wear pink.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, they call me Pinky in the practice room. I'm like, okay, CCS, which is section finals, is rolling around. Yeah. I dyed my hair pink.
Okay.
I go in there off the bat. I get the 9th seed, and I ended up pinning this kid. And everybody like, bro, who is this kid? And then I start winning.
Wow.
And I made it to the quarters, whatever. So sophomore year was kind of just like an eye-opening experience. I start going to all these tournaments. I'm winning some. I'm losing some to respectfully really good guys. And then I get an experience. I go to Fargo. And for all my wrestlers out there, they know what Fargo is. And Fargo is basically the national tournament over the summer for high school kids, which is if you go there and if you even participate in it, it's a pretty big deal. It's Fargo. And I think every kid, if you're wrestling in high school, you should experience it at least once.
So getting to that, should parents put their kids in wrestling?
Yes.
Is that
in high school, middle school? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah,
they should learn that. Would you do that over football? Or any of the other sports?
It depends if you're going to be a year-round wrestler. Depends what you like a little bit more.
I see, because it's a seasonal as well.
Yeah, so it's a winter sport, so it's right after football. Mm-hmm. It's right after football. It's the same time as basketball, so it's like you pick and choose. If you really want to go far with it and go to college, I would say you pick it over these sports and really dive into it.
But long-term, wrestling
could only take you so far because there's not that much money in it.
That's true. But okay, yeah. But not many people make it to the NFL. I'm sure one day someone from the NFL will come here. But
without a doubt.
But wrestling for a standard Joe, an average Joe high school guy that's not a Division I guy or whatever. Right. Wouldn't it carry with you a little bit longer in life? You feel a little
carries
more
with you all through life.
Versus football is I could tackle, but.
And I don't yeah.
And I'm not down to listen. Football.
No.
I played, football. I played high school basketball, but not high school football. And I played flag football leagues and all this, which is not hitting. Of course, it's a different mentality. But I would imagine just learning the skill set of wrestling or pinning someone down is more beneficial to life survival tactics than
But there's so much more to it that a lot of people don't see. And it's the same thing when it comes to jiu-jitsu. It teaches you that discipline. It teaches you how to, have that confidence.
We're talking about football?
Wrestling.
Or wrestling. Okay.
I'm sure football does that for a lot of people as well. But the thing is with wrestling, it teaches you how to be devoted to something. It teaches you, if you're taking it seriously, it teaches you how to be disciplined. It teaches you how to be motivated.
Also,
it teaches you how to be consistent. And so, but that's the thing, right?
Unless you're in Russia, then it's like 3-on-3 wrestling. I don't know. I'm not talking about dirty wrestling. I'm talking about a weird fight.
Right.
Which they do. I've seen that on Instagram.
So yes, it's one-on-one, but at the same time, you have your whole team behind you pushing you. And that's what I love about it. You go out there, yes, an individual sport, but you have this pack of people behind you just pushing
trainers and coaches and really
and they're there every match.
Camaraderie.
Yes, 100%.
But there's something to be said, I would say, against 5-on-5 sport where, you are also encouraging people to perform live with you.
Yes.
Or a football game versus like a one-on-one mental challenge.
Yeah, and that's a difference between the wrestling and all these other sports. It's that one-on-one mental aspect of it could really either drain you or help you succeed. Whereas working with a team, it could drain you, but you could still rely on these other guys.
Exactly. So let's even dumb it down to say tennis.
Yes.
Right. And I didn't mean dumb it down, but let's say we're talking tennis, which is a more popular sport. You could lose in tennis a match and you could completely mentally break and not perform the second match.
Yes.
Versus where in a basketball game, let's say, you're playing 5-on-5 and you can miss the first 5 shots, but be in the game because your teammate, the shooting
guard, whatever.
they're back, they hit the last 3.
Exactly.
So you're still in it and that could turn and you're relying a little bit more on your teammates. Versus tennis and any one-on-one type sports, including wrestling or jiu-jitsu, you don't
have much to rely on but your technique
and yourself and your mental state.
Yes,
and you know what? David Goggins, I read his book, the first book he did, not the last one, Can't Hurt Me, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
He said that, basically when he would compete with someone in something, he's like, I would take their soul.
Yeah.
So in wrestling or in jiu-jitsu, in competition, you could see when you took that person's soul, and people have done it to me.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling. And I don't mean to sound like a weirdo or anything, but it honestly is.
When they're done.
And it's like, okay.
Because it's one-on-one.
It's a mental game going back and forth. It's who's going to give up first.
Yeah.
You
took every will that they've had or any bit of confidence to go up against you after that first pin or the first few pins or even the first tap. I knew. And
what's crazy, wrestling taught me that.
Yeah, that's key.
And I would think it would have been jiu-jitsu, but it's really wrestling taught me that, and it's helping me put that into my jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah.
Because when I was at Hillsdale before I transferred my junior year, yes, I started wrestling I was very focused my sophomore year.
Yeah.
And then spring season rolled around and I went to go try out for the baseball team. And as I went to go try out
How'd you do there?
Let me get to it. So I played my freshman year. I ended up getting the starting spot on the freshman team my freshman year. So I was super stoked.
Okay.
I was like, okay, because I loved baseball growing up. And I still do to this day.
Okay.
I love watching baseball, going to baseball games.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
love it. And it's just like another hobby of mine that I really
I used to love it. Now
doing.
I don't know why I can't get into it anymore.
I don't go as much, but I still love to do it.
Yeah, I would love the Giants games. I mean, when they
you have to cut.
This is before they didn't even have the ballpark.
Yeah,
I used to go to the old Candlestick
before they tore it down.
That was a fun little adventure. And Niner games there were different.
It's completely different atmosphere. Atmosphere. But like I was saying, with the whole wrestling aspect and what it taught me, I was going out to play baseball.
Yeah.
And throughout the week, I just couldn't find a catch of it. I see. Nothing was working. I was like, dude, what happened? I was a starter last year.
Yeah.
What's going on? And then the last day of tryouts came out and I got cut and I was devastated.
Wow.
So the coach ended up cutting me and I'm a sophomore trying to make it at least on the JV.
Yeah.
And I got cut and I was like, fuck, I'm an embarrassment. I just got cut. What am I going to do?
Man.
That's the best thing that ever happened to me.
So
that is the best thing that has happened to me.
This is kind of like the Michael Jordan getting cut in high school
type of ordeal. Yeah.
So what would you say? So let's talk about that because I think that's great for the viewers to know. I think, if there's younger people watching this ever or whatever, in life, you want everything. You want everything.
But you don't always get what you want.
You don't always get what you want. So tell me how that made you stronger in your view.
So don't get me wrong. I was devastated.
You cried.
I went to my locker.
You cried.
Grabbed all my things, threw it in the trash, walked out the door with my glove and my bat, and I poured my eyes out as I walked home.
Wow.
As I walked home.
Walked home.
And I'm 16 years old at the time. I'm like, dude, like, there's no way I just got cut from the baseball team. That same night, I left to Fresno. I left to Fresno to go to the off-season state tournament for wrestling.
Okay.
And that night that I left, I was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to perform. And so I was supposed to fight in the cadet division, which is 16 and under. But by the time we got there, I had missed weigh-ins. So I was like, shit.
Oh, that's a tough one.
So they bumped me up to the junior division. So now I'm wrestling. I'm 16. I'm wrestling 18 and unders now. So I'm wrestling all the top guys in the state at 18 and under.
And at a heavier weight.
And at a heavier weight. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to go out there and perform. I end up making it to the blood rounds, which is the round right before getting on the podium. I think it was a 32, maybe a 64-man bracket, one or the other. I don't remember. This was my sophomore year, so this was a little while back. But I was like, okay, dude, like, I almost just placed at the off-season state tournament against pretty tough guys, like guys that placed at state, the actual state tournament. And I'm like, okay, maybe I could do something with this. And my coach goes, look, if you really want to go somewhere far with wrestling, you have to leave Hillsdale.
Wow. Okay.
They
pushed you, honestly.
You have to get out of here. And I was like, okay, like, I'll look into it. Cool. So as the summer goes on, I end up going back to Fresno for an off-season freestyle and Greco tournament. And as I'm down there, rumor had spread that I was transferring, and people in the Bay Area knew who I was in the wrestling community. And so like they started chirping about where I was going to go. And initially I was talking to Sarah and St. Francis. And those were